Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Today I'm going to call this Riding a Tandem. You'll see why I'm going to tell a little story. This is episode 26 in the book of Genesis. We're on a not so fun topic, which is the curse. And what that is the consequences of the first rebellion towards God. So Adam and Eve questioned God's commands and his rules and his boundaries, and in so doing, they questioned his character. They're saying to God, "You're not good. You don't have the best for me in this making this rule." So there's a consequence, and we're mostly focusing on women today and Eve. So the consequences are twofold. One is increased pain in childbirth. Everybody understands that. Everybody agrees in that. The second one is a disorder in the primary relationship of headship and followership, and that is in marriage. So listen with me again in Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. To the woman he said, "I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be contrary to your husband," this is the second part, "but he shall rule over you." So the curse for women is most evident in your life in childbirth and in your marriage. And your desire will be for the headship that is given to and charged to and held accountable to your husband. We're going to get to that tomorrow. And you might even watch him, your husband, do a poor job with doing his job. That's even going to make your job more difficult. So the proper godly submission is an ordering that is given by God. It's gifted to us in a sense by God to avoid chaos and anarchy and rebellion. And it's designed to be winsome and have a winning character that's not just visible to yourself, which is important, but visible to God and visible to your community, and is supposed to be attractive to those other people. So it's designed to be in many areas of life. Submission is a big topic in the Bible: childhood, citizenship, congregational life, workplace. Everybody submits to everybody, even and especially leaders. Listen to this. Hebrews 13:17. Obey your leaders and submit to them. That's the follower part. For they are keeping watch over your souls. So that's a big job. Then listen to this. As those who will have to give an account. So your leaders, they don't just get to lead, willy-nilly. I get to do what no, they're under God, seen by God, and are going to be accountable for this. So I understand that for many, submission is a particularly difficult concept. And in our culture, I did it my way culture, it's particularly difficult. So one area where the leader follower is going to be particularly difficult, especially difficult now, cursed, which means to lay over this layer of special difficulty, is we find out here in Genesis 3:16, submission of a wife to her husband. So I'm going to tell a story today. This is my tandem story. So my wife and I tandem bicycle. That is, one person rides in the front, one person rides in the back. The person in the front gets to steer and brake and have gears and can see. The person that rides in the back, no brakes, no gears, no steering, and you can't see very well. So most couples that try this exercise, they can't even do it. At least 80% people that try tandeming don't tandem, because it requires good leadership and good followership. And it pictures our situation here pretty well. So to be a good captain, the captain's the person that rides in the front, the best training that you can get is to have someone ride in your front and you ride in the back. And that will open your eyes to see that it's very difficult to cooperate. And it's particularly terrifying because you can't see. And the person in front needs to hyper communicate with you to tell you about things that are coming, and changes in steering and gearing and braking. And what it does, if you ride in the back, it gives you compassion for how important it is to be a good leader. So after the captain's eyes are open riding in the back, he is a much better, more compassionate leader. Then you can put it back in the front. And he's like, wow, I gotta help the person in the back because it's really hard to follow in this thing. So to the husbands, I say today here, see this, listen here, be compassionate, be a good leader, and know that you're going to have to give an account. Let me tell one more story. We were doing marriage counseling to a pre-marriage couple, and we were going over John Piper's book, Momentary Marriage. And of course, there's a chapter on submission and a chapter on leadership. And when the bride read the chapter on godly leadership, the Ephesians 5 requirements for the groom, which is to lead her like Christ did, who gave it all, who laid down his life, who was a servant. And she had compassion on her husband. And she, to her words, said, he's actually got the more difficult job. So as we conclude here, I want you to know that God knows this situation. So he's laid upon the souls of wives his eye, and he is sovereign, and he will lead us through what he leads us to. So God did not fall off his throne in the laying on this layer of difficulty, this curse. He knows all our difficulties. He knows that this will be, perhaps for some, the number one battleground between us and the Lord, and as it is manifested between a husband and a wife. He doesn't, though, avoid doing it. He gives this challenge to every marriage. So every single couple will work through this together if the wife or prospective wife hasn't worked through it before she gets to the marriage. So it will be for every woman who marries a major area, if not the major, the number one area of, do I trust God in this particular area? So in conclusion then, two things. If you're a husband, ride in the back of the tandem in your spirit for a minute and be compassionate with those who have that job as a regular part of the job. It is a difficult job, and you best be compassionate. Second part of that, husbands, do your job well and try to make your job in, let's say, the front, make your job, do as good a job as possible so the person that's following can follow well. To the wives, I say humbly, because I'm not in that position, but I have to submit too. Everybody has to submit, but this is a particular area where it's difficult. Now there's this layer of divine challenge to it. To the women, I say, to the wives, I say, trust God. He will lead you through what he leads you to. He didn't fall off his throne when he asked you to ride the tandem and to be married. Thanks for listening.